Mosaic, a daily news program from Link TV, presents a selection of news reports from independent and state-controlled broadcasters from throughout the Middle East.
In a press conference, the Islamic Party of Iraq has confirmed that the American journalist Jill Carroll was freed by her captors. According to Secretary General of the Islamic Party, Dr. Tariq al-Hashimi, the American hostage was unharmed while in captivity. He added that her release came after pleading with her captors to free her. Meanwhile, Carroll's family has expressed joy and relief over her release. The American journalist Jill Carroll has been set free near the headquarters of the Islamic Party of Iraq. Carroll works for the Christian Science Monitor newspaper. She was taken hostage by a terrorist group nearly 3 months ago on January 7, 2006. Her driver was killed in that kidnapping incident, which turned bloody. In a brief press conference, Carroll stated that she does not know the reasons behind her abduction or release. The Secretary General of the Islamic Party of Iraq, Tariq al-Hashimi, handed Carroll a copy of the Holy Quran. The Islamic Party held a press conference after Carroll was released.
When Carroll, who was wearing Islamic hijab, came to the headquarters of the Islamic Party, our brother thought that she was a member of the Women's Council that is affiliated with our party. However, she disclosed her identity as Jill Carroll, handed a letter in Arabic to the Islamic Party pleading for assistance. In the letter, she asked to be taken to officials of the American administration.
The Iraqi people, who wish well for those who support stability and security in Iraq, expressed joy and relief over Carroll's release.
We were very happy to hear that Jill Carroll has been released. She is a journalist who represents the press and the voice of the Iraqi people.
The international community has also expressed relief over Carroll's release. United States Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice was also relieved when Jill was released. Fatah Mahmoud, Al-Iraqiya Television. United States Ambassador in Iraq, Alaa Khalid, has expressed gratitude to the Iraqi people, including the Islamic Party of Iraq, for the release of Jill Carroll. The Islamic Party helped her after she was freed by her captors. Mr. Zad confirmed that he met with Carroll and seemed to be in good health and high spirit. He added that he will do everything in his power to get her back safely to her family as soon as possible.
In Iraq, 14 people were killed, including 8 government employees and policemen. 22 others were wounded in separate violent attacks. The U.S. Army, for its part, lost one of its soldiers, and another was wounded in an explosion near Baghdad. Politically, the Iraqi parliamentary blocs will continue to negotiate the formation of the new government on Friday amidst disagreements regarding defense and other internal issues.
Events in Iraq are numerous, thorny, and complicated. Strangest among them is the ability of armed assailants to penetrate one of the most fortified high-security compounds in the capital and other cities. Several officers of the SWAT team known as Al-Maghawir were wounded in a suicide attack targeting a prominent government official. It happened at the entrance of the Maghawir base in downtown Baghdad, which houses the Iraqi government offices as well as the American and British embassies. In central and northern Baghdad, 2 explosive devices detonated, killing 1 civilian and wounding several others. In another development, American journalist Jill Carroll was set free after she was kidnapped and held hostage for 2 months.
It seems that our efforts, especially those of the head of the Iraqi Reconciliation Front, Dr. Adnan al-Dulimi, have paid off. This was both an ethical and a political problem. The journalist Jill Carroll, as we know, was kidnapped as she was coming out of the office of Dr. Adnan al-Dulimi. The perpetrators wanted to sabotage the reconciliation efforts made by Dr. al-Dulimi, considering that he is a prominent Iraqi national figure. We urged the captors numerous times to set Jill Carroll free, along with other journalists and hostages.
وجهنا نداءات إنسانية عديدة لإطلاق سراح كارول وإطلاق سراح باقي الصحفيين والمختطفين والمعتقلين.
وعلى الصعيد السياسي تعثرت من جديد التحركات السلحفاة.
On the political front, negotiations between Iraqi factions are slowing down due to what an official in the presidential office of Jalal Talbani described as Sunni Shiite disagreements over internal security. This comes after the U.S. demanded that the new government be formed as soon as possible. Adnan al-Dulaimi, for his part, urged the different factions to cooperate with each other and solve the problem through reason and dialogue.
السياسية للتوافق وحل المشكلات بالمنطق والحوار على حد قوله.
أدعو جميع الكيانات إلى التوافق وإلى حل المشكلات.
I call on all the factions to settle their differences and solve their problems with logic, reason, and dialogue for the sake of the Iraqi people and their unity. The Iraqi people are frustrated because of the delay in forming the new government. So I call on all the political blocs to quickly form the government to bring about security and stability.
في تشكيل هذه الحكومة للبدء بتحقيق الأمن والاستقرار.
وعود على الميدان في الشق المتعلق
Back on the battlefield, where attacks against U.S. forces are ongoing, the American Army announced that 2 of its troops were killed and a 3rd was wounded in Baghdad and Anbar when a roadside bomb targeted a police patrol. According to eyewitnesses, a car bomb went off in Baquba, northeast of the capital, killing its passengers and wounding others. Many tears have been shed due to the constant bombings in Iraq day and night. They are heard by virtually everyone in this country, with the exception, it seems, of the Iraqi politicians who, to this day, have failed to form a new government to save the beleaguered citizen from this tragic situation. نغم تميمي, Oman TV, بغداد.
نغم التميمي, تلفزيون سلطنة عمان, بغداد.
وننهي المدار من الولايات المتحدة.
Amidst an escalation in the level of violence in Iraq, a number of human rights organizations in the United States have exerted a tremendous amount of effort to help innocent Iraqi victims, especially children of war. The Organization of No More Victims has recently sponsored an Iraqi child named Alaa who was hit by shrapnel in the city of Al-Qam. Meanwhile, the Arab community in the U.S. are helping the Iraqi war victims and their families by opening its homes for them.
Walid is dead. Ahmad is dead.
These were the words of Alaa, a 3-year-old Iraqi girl who lost 2 brothers in a shelling attack in the town of Al-Qaim. Alaa's father returned home from work to find his house damaged, and both of his sons were dead. His wife and 2 daughters, Alaa and Athra, sustained injuries. Alaa was hit by a shrapnel and almost lost her eyes in the attack. She was flown to Los Angeles for treatment. She misses her mother and relatives in Iraq.
Alaa has been traumatized by the death of her 2 brothers, and she is very heartbroken. Since I brought her here to Los Angeles, she has been asking about her mother, her siblings, and other relatives, such as her uncles and cousins. She often gets very depressed and sometimes hysterical because she misses her family.
Khalid, Alaa's father, was one of those Iraqis helped by the Organization of No More Victims. He took this opportunity and brought his daughter to Los Angeles for medical treatment. Khalid's decision was not that easy, especially since his house was shelled by United States military forces.
I was very reluctant to come here to Los Angeles. I thought the American people will treat me the same way the U.S. forces did in Iraq. Birds of a feather flock together. However, I did not have any choice but to bring my daughter here, because her eyesight has been deteriorating gradually over time.
Alaa was treated and regained her eyesight. An Indian Muslim doctor has volunteered to treat Alaa for free. Soon afterward, Khalid, who was staying in a hotel, started to look for a place to live because Alaa became more irritable and refused to eat. Saad, an Iraqi immigrant living in Los Angeles, invited Khalid to stay in his small apartment.
I was overwhelmed with emotion when I heard about Khalid and his daughter's story. I was determined to help them out. I invited him to come and stay at my house. When I saw Alaa, I cried.
The organization of No More Victims was the one that sponsored Alaa in the US. It covered her travel and medical expenses. The founder, Mr. Miller, and his organization made a difference in her and others' lives.
This is one way to show the world that we as Americans do not support Bush's policy. We help innocent victims and children of war. We are trying to build a bridge between the American people and the children of Iraq. Even if just one child gets help, we are happy.
Mr. Miller confirmed that Alaa is the fourth Iraqi child who has been helped in the US. He added that children of war may recuperate physically, but their minds and spirits will be scarred forever. They will be haunted with images of the shelling, destruction, bloodshed, and the death of family members and loved ones. For Madar program, Nizam al-Mihdawi, Abu Dhabi Channel, Los Angeles.
Amidst a state of solidarity and support to the resistance movement, the Fourth Arab Conference held its annual meeting in the Lebanese capital of Beirut. More than 350 Arab officials attended this conference, which was sponsored by the Arab National Conference, the General Conference for Arab Parties, and the National Islamic Conference. In his speech before the Fourth Arab Conference, the Secretary General of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah, confirmed that the resistance is the only right and logical option left. He added that it is through the resistance that we can liberate our land and gain the freedom of our prisoners in Israeli jails and detention centers. He confirmed that the resistance will carry on as long as the Israeli enemy continues to occupy our land, oppressing our people and holding Arab prisoners.
No one in or outside Lebanon can punish the resistance for its accomplishments. Whoever tries to unarm the resistance in Lebanon, we will cut his hands, behead him, and kill his spirit. We need to protect our country. Our brothers in the Khartoum summit were paranoid, refraining from using the word resistance in their statements and resolutions. All countries take pride in the resistance of their people. Take, for example, France. It often talks about the French resistance, although it took place a very long time ago. However, Arab leaders want to take out the word resistance. Every time we have a bright chapter in our history, they want to take it away, ignore it, or omit it.
Nasrallah accused foreign countries of recent escalation in the region. These countries are the reason behind the Lebanese crisis, because they keep intervening in our internal affairs. He also criticized UN Resolution 1559, which calls for the disarmament of the Lebanese resistance, confirming that it only serves Israeli interests. This resolution came amidst an increase of international pressure on Lebanon. He confirmed that such pressure will fail, as it did in the past.
The United States-led campaign in Lebanon has reached a dead end. The United States is anxious to solve problems and deal with threats facing Israel from the south of the border. However, we want to solve our own problems in our own country.
Khalid Mishael, head of the political office of Hamas, spoke highly of the resistance. He called for supporting the resistance because it plays an important role in liberating Arab land occupied by Israel. In a speech before the conference on the resistance in Lebanon, he confirmed that the Palestinian people are determined to achieve their freedom and their right of return.
All proposed initiatives and solutions address the problems of Palestinians living in the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. But these proposals do not take into consideration the 5.5 million refugees and those living in diaspora. Today, the new Palestinian government under Hamas and the Palestinian people in the West Bank and the Gaza Strip and abroad are determined to stand united and support the resistance.
Former Lebanese Prime Minister Salim al-Khous has stressed that the resistance must go on as long as Israel continues to occupy Lebanese land and carry out daily attacks on southern Lebanon. Dr. Aziz Siddiqui, former Egyptian Prime Minister, confirmed that the resistance is the only way to take back our rights and the lands occupied by Israel.
Hezbollah Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah said anyone who would want to disarm Hezbollah would have his hand, head and soul removed. Nasrallah addressed the participants at the General Arab Conference for the Resistance Support at the Bristol Hotel this morning and highlighted the positive points of the national dialogue, as since it started, the pressure on Hezbollah decreased. He further said Hezbollah was ready to return to the round table if a clear strategy was set on how to defend Lebanese land. The Arab Summit's final statement issued yesterday stressed Arab support for Lebanon's neutral right to resistance and right to free all its occupied territories. Speaking before leaving Khartoum, Premier Fouad Sanyura clarified the reason behind the arguments that erupted between him and President Emil Lahoud. While in Lebanon, Hezbollah hailed Lahoud's statement while expressing their surprise towards the Premier's statement. Yumna Tiyara has the story.
In Tuesday's closed session during the Khartoum summit, Prime Minister Fouad Sanyura had demanded the removal of a clause pledging support to the armed Lebanese resistance, stressing international backing should be for all the Lebanese, who include Hezbollah. Lahoud protested Sanyura's request, which reflected concern over the right of Hezbollah to retain its arms, leading to a vocal dispute between the two leaders, and with Lahoud reportedly saying, quote, "I am the president of the official delegation and I speak in the name of Lebanon." Before returning to Beirut last night, Sanyura held a press conference at the headquarters of the summit where he explained that he attended the Arab gathering as Lebanon's prime minister and because the national dialogue charged him to brief the summit on the results of the dialogue. Sanyura said the attempt to collect certain prizes by diverting the attention of public opinion was an attempt to gain illusionary prizes. He clarified his position by reiterating that the resistance was part of the Lebanese people and it should not be limited to a certain faction of the Lebanese, as it was the government's duty to protect all of Lebanon and its people. Sanyura noted that he hated Hezbollah's role in liberating Lebanese land several times, but stressed that defending Lebanese territory was a right for all the Lebanese. The Premier reiterated Lahoud must submit his resignation. Back in Lebanon, and despite Sanyura's clarification, Hezbollah took no time to intervene. Upon Lahoud's arrival back from the Arab Summit, Hezbollah Secretary General Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah telephoned the President and thanked him for the support of the resistance. In a statement issued by Hezbollah, the armed group hailed Lahoud's stance as, quote, major and inconsistent with his patriotic behavior. Regarding Sanyura, Hezbollah expressed its surprise regarding the Premier's stance, calling it, quote, illogical and unacceptable justification. Commenting on Hezbollah's statements, sources close to Sanyura reiterated that the Premier supports the resistance role in liberating Lebanese land, adding that this position would not change. The source said the misunderstanding of Sanyura's statement during the closed-door session was due to the media noting that this position at the summit had one and only aim: to secure Lebanese and Arab support for the right of all Lebanese to defend their land and look towards the future without restoring to the previous conflicts.
Palestinians are commemorating Land Day in the West Bank. Meanwhile, dozens of Palestinian villages are still suffering from the strategy of expansion of the Israeli occupation and the confiscation of their agricultural lands. Al-Alam news cameras paid a visit to these tragic villages.
This place used to be a lush garden with green trees. Its inhabitants used to pick their fruits until a tragic day when it all stopped. This is the village of Butros, west of Ramallah. Even though it is Land Day, its inhabitants do not need specific day to remember their confiscated land. The reason is simple. Their land is right in front of them day and night. Nothing separates them from the land except for a collection of barbed wire fences, hundreds of soldiers and alert systems. Anyone who tries to come near their confiscated land is fired at by their occupiers.
This tower was put up like a wall 2 years ago. The people of Butros feel watched at all times by the occupation forces, day and night. Anyone who tries to leave the area is constantly watched.
Behind the rocks, where this little girl is standing, lay the confiscated lands and the wall that is suffocating the village. The inhabitants of this place used to work in lands occupied in 1948. After they were prevented from working there, they retreated to work on their land. But when they began to taste its fruits, the occupation seized the land by force.
The people here rely heavily on land cultivation. This wall has taken this opportunity away from them and cut them off from their means of livelihood. People now have to fight for a small piece of bread to survive in the village.
A prison is made up of doors, bars, and walls. Here, the situation is different. Those condemned to remain within its confines are guilty of no crime. This village has been besieged from all sides, isolated by barbed wire fences, military checkpoints, and the occupation soldiers.
In reality, we are besieged from 4 sides. I'm referring to the wall which is choking us in our own village. Our only outlet to the city, where we can conduct our business or go to school, also has a barrier.
These plants, which have grown between the rocks, may provide hope for the besieged people of this village for a brighter future. Just as these small plants were able to penetrate through hard rocks, one day the village people might be able to return to their lands. From the village of Butros, west of Ramallah, Faris Sarafandi, Al-Alam Television.
Joining us now in our Haifa studio is Arab affairs expert Wadia Abu Nasser to talk about Land Day. Wadia, thanks for coming in.
Good evening.
Let's begin with Land Day. How would you characterize the way this year's Land Day was marked as compared to other years?
Well, this year we are witnessing quite more organized activities by the Arab Monitoring Committee all over the country, especially a central event in Lod, and it is the first time ever that this event is commemorated in a mixed town to highlight the role of the Israeli Arab citizens in mixed Arab-Jewish cities. On the other hand, we didn't see today any strikes in the Arab sector, and it is a significant development in this regard.
Let's turn now to the Palestinian Authority. Incoming Prime Minister Ismail Haniyeh of Hamas said his government is prepared to give Chairman Mahmoud Abbas a chance to negotiate with Israel. Is this credible, or is this just lip service to the international community?
Well, I believe Ismail Haniyeh has no choice. You know, the problem of Hamas on one hand and of those who are opposing Hamas on the other hand, that they are entering unavoidable dialogue. It is, there is a deadlock. Hamas could not continue ignoring the world demands, and the world could not ignore Hamas. As a compromise, it seems that people are looking for a third party, which would be most probably Mahmoud Abbas.
That's not completely true, because financially the West is ignoring the new government.
Well, they are ignoring the new government. I don't think that it will be ignored for a long time to come. Furthermore, I believe that Hamas, sooner or later, when it will take the lead in the government, will ask the president to share in the decision-making processes and the procedures, even regarding fiscal issues. So therefore, I don't think that Hamas will be excluded totally from the decision-making circles.
That's a statement about Hamas being giving a chance to negotiate with Israel? Does it mark a departure from their earlier policy?
Well, I believe that when people are sitting on ministerial portfolios, they see things differently than when sitting in a faction fighting or acting in Gaza or in a refugee camp. And for sure, it is much different than people sitting in Damascus. So therefore, I believe that it is a matter of time to see some interesting changes inside Hamas, especially those who were elected either to the parliament or to ministerial portfolios.
Do you think that this is a signal that Hamas will cooperate now with the PA chairman, or will the relationship continue to be marked by tension and even antagonism?
It is too early to decide about how the working relations will be between the President Abbas and the Hamas cabinet because of a variety of reasons. First reason is all the interventions of Hamas externals or outsiders. The second reason is that they don't have yet clear working plan between the presidency and the cabinet. And the third reason is Fatah internal problems which might affect negatively or positively the president-cabinet relationship.
Wadia Abu Nasser in our Haifa studio, Arabs Affairs expert, thanks for coming in.
Zimbabwe announced Sunday that it would set up its own Human Rights Commission as part of its quest to create a culture of human rights. A state-owned weekly quoted Justice Minister Patrick Shinamasa as saying that the constitution would be amended to establish the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission. The weekly noted that the commission will have a mandate to receive, investigate and redress any complaints relating to human rights. It added that it will also have a responsibility to promote and protect human rights as Zimbabwe continues its quest to create a culture of human rights. Chinamasa said the decision to create a human rights body came after an influx of manufactured human rights abuses reports by non-governmental organizations in the past 6 years. Earlier this month, the Southern African country's human rights record was ranked amongst the worst in the world, according to the US State Department's annual report on human rights practices for 2005. Zimbabwe was the only African country ranked alongside North Korea, Burma, Iran, Cuba, China and Belarus, considered to be nations where political power is concentrated in the hands of rulers who are not accountable to their actions. Shinamasa said the establishment of the body was not an admission that Zimbabwe had a human rights problem, but that the country was merely moving with practices and trends in the region. The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, or the FAO, has granted Mauritania $45,000 in emergency aid as part of a scheme to prevent bird flu from spreading to North Africa. The government daily newspaper Horizon reported the news on Thursday. The agreement is designed to provide the largely desert nation, one of the poorest in Africa, with technical aid for detecting and preventing the spread of avian influenza and disseminating information on the movements of birds. Bird flu has already affected 4 African countries. These are the Cameroon, Egypt, Niger and Nigeria. The aid agreement was signed late on Wednesday by the Mauritanian Rural Development and Environment Minister and the FAO's representative in Nouakchott. Mauritania is located on the western edge of the Sahara Desert, with Mali and Senegal to the south and Western Sahara, Morocco and Algeria to the north.
The views expressed on Mosaic are not those of Link TV or its sponsors, but of the broadcasters themselves. Mosaic is made possible by a grant from the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, which promotes journalism excellence worldwide and invests in the vitality of 26 U.S. communities, and the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation. Additional support is provided by the Firedoll Foundation and Henry and Virgilia Dakin. This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. For a transcript of this program, to watch streaming video, or for instructions on how to receive Link TV in the United States, visit linktv.org.